Okay? There you have it. Now, let's bring in some legal experts, all right? I'm going to see how smart they are. We have Brett Tolman, former U.S. attorney and the former Senate Judiciary Committee counsel. And we have Gregg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst and author of The Constitution of the United States and other patriotic documents. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Okay, I've set my trap for you. You've heard what I had to say. I'm going to start with you, Gregg. I don't trust Weiss as far as you can throw him. I think they put this thing together precisely to keep the son away from the father. That's what I think. Go ahead, poke loopholes into this.
Larry, you missed your calling. You should have been a lawyer.
No.
You should have. You're onto something here. Look, David Weiss is still going soft on Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
No money laundering, no bribery, no foreign lobbying crimes, nothing whatsoever to do with the Burisma shakedown involving Joe Biden. So don't be fooled. The DOJ protection racket is alive and well. Weiss, you're right, Larry, deserves zero credit. This is the guy who wanted no charges at all. He conjured up a sweetheart deal, and only when a federal judge in Delaware blew it up was he forced to bring the gun charges. And then, of course, the damning evidence produced by the courageous IRS whistleblowers that forced Weiss to bring these most recent new charges. Weiss was publicly shamed into following the law. And only after he got caught lying to Congress was he compelled to bring these charges, which just so happens, as you're alluding to, Larry, happened days before Hunter was scheduled to give a deposition, which gives him an automatic Fifth Amendment get-out-of-jail-free card.
Isn't that a coincidence? Gregg Jarrett, you're so smart. You must be a lawyer. Isn't that a coincidence? Days before they're scheduled to go to Capitol Hill, look what happens. The kid gets busted for all kinds of unseemly behavior, spending on stuff and not giving Uncle Sam and the IRS their just reward or their just dessert or their just something. But, Brett, I mean, it's not that I'm a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. I never really wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know what I wanted to be, but that's another segment. But the point is, being in politics all these years, or in and out of politics, Brett, I kind of smell a fish, a bad fish, a rotting fish, all right? I think they know exactly what they were doing. What do you think?
Well, I will say I'm glad we're all on this panel together today, because all the commentary I have heard has been absolutely outrageous, wrong, and they're taking the bait. They're taking the bait. Let's put facts. Let's put data and facts out there. One, is he looking at 17 years? Not a snowball's chance in hell he gets 17 years. They don't stack like that. He's facing, under the guideline range, probably 1 to 1.5 years in prison because of the way they charged it. You wouldn't know that unless you've done these types of cases before. The other thing that's very, very significant, Larry, half of the investigation is shockingly absent in this indictment. They didn't do what is called sourcing investigation, which is to find out where the money came in from. I'm not aware of an IRS investigation in this country that doesn't look at the validity of the money coming into the individual that they're investigating for tax evasion. Here, though, it's not there. And there's a reason why, because Gregg said it. This is the deflection to get Hunter out of having to testify and expose more about his father. It's also the distraction to keep Joe out of the limelight, because we're starting to see more and more about his corruption.
I mean, look, this whole thing's a snare and a delusion. This guy Weiss is a snare and a delusion. Don't forget who he's working for. Merrick Garland. Don't forget who's running that Justice Department. Joe Biden. Don't think for a minute. I speak from experience, gentlemen. Don't think for a minute the senior-most people in the White House aren't involved in this stuff. Don't believe that for one little second, because they are. This is sheer, raw election year politics. Gregg, they're going to throw Hunter under the bus. Actually, they don't have to really throw him under the bus. They just have to put him on ice for a year until the election. And then they'll see. If Joe Biden wins, he'll give him a pardon in about 2 minutes. Make that 2 seconds. If he doesn't win, okay, he'll throw him under the bus. Maybe some deal, spend a year or 2 in jail. And you know how Joe has that great whisper of his, well, better him than me. I mean, he'll do that kind of thing. Meanwhile, that's what this, it looks like David Weiss is doing something. It looks like the Justice Department is doing something, and we don't have a dual system of justice in this country. But we do have a dual system, don't we, Greg? Isn't that really what's at stake here?
We absolutely do. And, you know, this indictment, more than anything else, underscores the corruption within the DOJ U.S. Attorney's Office investigation. And, of course, you've got the media apologists already dismissing these charges, saying, oh, it has nothing to do with Joe Biden. That's untrue. The tax crimes arose from Hunter Biden's corrupt influence peddling schemes, and the evidence is compelling that his father, Joe Biden, actively aided and abetted those schemes. You've got documents, testimony, White House logs, photos, emails, text messages implicating Joe Biden, showing that, you know, he would speak by phone to Hunter's clients. He'd meet personally with the overseas partners. He even attended meetings. He was selling the Biden brand, which was access to him and promises of influence. Look at Devin Archer's testimony. He confirmed it. And, of course, the secret email, don't ever mention Joe's involvement, which is why they use code names for Joe's involvement, Celtic and the big guy.
Yeah, but that's too easy. Everybody on the planet knows that Joe is involved in his son's business. That's way too easy. I mean, they even had, you know, a nice pasta dish at Cafe Milano. Everybody knows that. But what they don't know, and what Weiss didn't open up in this indictment, is all the foreign registration stuff, and as Brett said, the foreign payment stuff. None of that stuff's in there. You know, he's going to pay you some taxes for some hookers. Oh, gee, Will, that's not enough anymore. In 2024 United States elections, paying hookers for taxes or not taxes, man, that's not going to do it. We got to go further than that. We have to go much further than that. Anyway, I'm going to lose my mind. Anyway, Brett Tolman and Gregg Jarrett, I'm glad you guys didn't dismiss my non-legal theories completely. I'm very pleased to hear this.
Excellent stuff.
All right. Greg, I'm going to see you on the radio for more of this nonsensical stuff. Anyway, folks, right here on Kudlow, we're still doing TV.